another company that is on the other side that has turned the corner, it seems, is AMD.
Mm-hmm.
So AMD is a company that has had a strong couple of weeks.
For sure.
Y'all gonna give me a pat on the back? What's up? What's up? I'm gonna get some love.
You just went to the Kendrick concert.
We'll talk about. Can y'all talk about that on Blackout, please?
For sure.
Definitely gonna talk about
call TV Gucci and see, get a live report.
Please. Team meeting.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, you look at it as something that's in April was $78, now pushing towards $130. And yeah, as Troy said, he was somebody that was very enthusiastic about AMD. So I guess Troy, you talk about it then. You can lead it off.
It's that situation where it was like, can you be number 2 in a space and still see productivity? And for a while, they were getting their back kicked in by Nvidia, right? With this runoff in GPUs, and then the tariff situation happens, and now pricing becomes an issue. It becomes something that companies now think about. And so, how do I combat pricing and still have effectivity or efficiency? And so, it took a while for Lisa to get it right, and even she wasn't invited. She didn't go to the White House during the inauguration, but she made sure that she was in Saudi Arabia.
That was the meeting that mattered.
She was sure to be in Saudi Arabia when AI investments were going out to companies. And so that's the first sign that, hey, there might be a pricing market that they can fit in and they could actually be the leader in. And that's what you've seen. Not only have they had a rise, but if you look, and I know you brought up TSM earlier, Shadi, look at TSM's rise since that Saudi meeting, right? The person that's going to manufacture chips has now run. Nvidia has now climbed over 140. Everything is moving, and now pricing matters. Where now Nvidia is trying to figure out, like, what's the chip that we can use so we can be inclusive in China. AMD is filling its place as saying, hey, we know we're going to dominate in CPUs, which they've done, and we've talked about that in detail. Now that second tier place in GPUs feels like a comfortable place for them to park in and actually have a business thriving, and they're doing it. And obviously you saw some of the partnerships that they announced. You see them with Palantir. You see the developments inside of data center is growing. The data center business is growing. What was happening during that time when they got down to 70, and I'm like, well, at this point, this feels like the floor, is that the GPU market was slowing, right, for them, but the CPU market was slowing as well. Gaming didn't look the same. Now I just watched the Xbox, and like AMD is the chip that's going to be powering the next generation of gaming for them. And so you're starting to see, yes, Nvidia is going to be dominant. They control 85% of the space. But for some companies, mid-tier, not these mega caps, they're going to need an efficient unit, and AMD is filling that growth.
Yeah, and I want to be very clear, Nvidia still is the lead. A nice bounce. But them being at that meeting, definitely. There are catalyst events in a company. That was one of them. For her to have missed or not invited to the White House, but to make it up there is the timing was incredible, and it was needed for the company. Shout out to everybody in Red Panda who's been holding that for years. But also going back to the Saudi meeting, which notable CEO was not there or not invited?
Oh, we didn't see.
Or no one from the organization with that spaceship on campus was invited. It's just interesting. So, but long end of year target for AMD, 161.76. I've had my criticisms of AMD. I'm happy for this bounce, but I want to be very clear. Nvidia is the lead by 2 light years, and that won't change anytime soon.
Yeah, maybe more. The Oracle deal as well. And we spoke about Oracle, and the TikTok situation has kind of just been thrown under. But when we saw Stargate and we didn't see Microsoft, we saw Oracle there and OpenAI there and SoftBank there. It was a sign. And so now seeing AMD partner with them, these hyperscalers, they're growing. We talked about Broadcom last week. That space is moving as we get more clarity around tariffs and China deals and what that's going to look like. I know Huawei just is put on the ban list. So it's an interesting time, but there are these companies that we believed in that were going to be the leaders in the AI space, whether they were first or second. They're coming to fruition. Yeah. And I think the growth continues.
And Oracle is one of those slept on fundamental companies like Tim Duncan. Oracle hasn't really had a bad year since 2016. They had the high of 216.60 on Friday, but they've been on a tear this year, and I don't think they've been talked about enough. It was at 118 in April. Now to be at 215, that is a hell of a run for a company that's not talked about a lot.